and crew of the Avengers Lakota dubs, and I'll have them introduce themselves.
Oh, hey, Lars Archambault, the founder and owner of Gray Willow Studios, also playing Stan Lee on the Lakota dubs.
I'm Carson Neilham.
What do you play, Carson?
I play a young boy interview at the end of the movie.
My name's Chuck Archambault. What's up, Eagle Butte? I play Hawkeye on the Lakota dub Avengers. I kind of feel cool right now because we just dissed Drake again.
Mm-hmm. And executive producer.
Oh, and I'm an executive producer on the Marvel's Lakota dubs. And so I know we went a little short last time and we had dead air, but I could talk about this for a little bit if you allow. Are we cool with that?
We'll have a while.
All right.
Alrighty. So first, we got some questions. So you guys talked about your roles on the film. Can you tell us more about Gray Willow Studios and the Lakota Language Reclamation Project?
You handle Lakota LLRP.
Okay. You want me to go right now?
Sure.
Okay, Lakota Language Reclamation Project. It's something it's still getting started and getting off the ground, but we're aiming to put the language back into the homes of our people. Something that was stripped from us without I guess without us wanting it to be, but we're striving to put the language back into the homes of our people through cinematic movies and such. And so it's myself, Ray Taken Live, and Dallas Nelson, and Lawrence helps out with all the projects with Gray Willow Studios.
Alrighty, Lawrence, you want to tell us a little bit about Gray Willow Studios?
Oh, yes. Let's see. 2017 is when I opened the doors for Gray Willow Studios, and what we've done and accomplished there was basically help. When I first moved home to Standing Rock, and growing up there, we had music on pretty much every street, every district, and so on. But as I moved home 7 years ago, there was nothing there. The music was gone. So that was one of my main goals, is to help move forward in the music side of things, and then hopefully get some youngsters involved and help them with their careers and so on. I've been involved in the entertainment industry since I can remember. And then we started working. You hear the full story a little bit later, but started working with Chuck, Ray, and Dallas, and here we are today. And Mark Ruffalo, and here we are today doing movie dubs.
Yeah, that was our joke, because the last time we went live with video from Studio 2 here was when Mark Ruffalo leaked the Lakota Avengers dubs back, what was that, like November of last year, or maybe?
Yeah. There's a crazy story about that, because he was actually supposed to be up in the Gray Willow Studios recording his lines, but he was unable to because he had a little bit of a cold, so he didn't want to go into it and with a messed up voice. He wanted to make sure he was perfect. And so when we're like, okay, cool, we'll see you down. We'll try to make it down there to the Lakota versus United States. They're doing the screening down here, and so we'll try to see you down there. And anyways, I returned to Keepy. We got sent the video of KIPI, and that's how we found out Mark leaked what we were doing. And so and it was cool though. I mean, it wasn't fully hidden, but it was hidden from other areas, I guess.
Yeah, you weren't announcing it on national news or anything.
No.
And I mean, that was cool for us as a native radio station. That I think, that's one of Mark's things, is that he'd rather do this stuff in our communities for us, with us, than, making money off of us out there in the world. That's
kind of like the project.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the project, right?
The project is for Lakota, by Lakota, for Indigenous peoples, by Indigenous peoples. And so we really aimed to do that. And so that's the same model that we have at Gray Willow Studios. Gray Willow, you go into the studio with Lawrence, and it's ran by natives. It's Lakota people running the studio. Yeah. And then we have bands coming in and stuff like that. And it's the same way. He does a lot of studio work with them. So
I know that was something Ray mentioned up in at the premiere was that they're big, all of you saying to Disney, let us do it, teach us how to do it, don't do it for us.
Yep.
And so that idea of by Lakota for Lakota is, I think, really a strong mission, and I know something you guys have worked on. Another thing, a quote that I would say, is like you said, bring it into the home. Language starts in the home. We've always all heard that growing up, right?
Mhm.
And this was your way with cinematic experiences. And I have a little experience in that myself. I have some video games that we made in Lakota,
Nice.
and that was always, the goal was to get it in front of kids. Can you talk a little bit maybe about that goal and where you're going from here?
Well, I guess, I mean, we're doing what we're doing. We made our first movie with in Lakota. We dubbed it, and so we had I guess I could start at the beginning with that. With Lakota Rangers Reclamation Project, we had talked about this in Lawrence. We had talked about doing something to be able to put in the homes of our people, and what better way to do it by introducing the Avengers in Lakota to them. And so you look at Halloween, and you look at the kids that come to our doors. 75% of the kids that are coming to our doors are wearing an Avengers costume. And so they know who the Avengers are, what they are, and what they're about. And so they get excited when they see the Avengers in general. And then I don't know hardly anybody that doesn't watch the Avengers. And so that's kind of how we came about on that. We said, let's do this. Let's get something that the kids will be excited about. Let's get something about the families will be excited about. And so that's how this came into creation, is being able to put into motion a dream of helping our people learn the Lakota language,
That's awesome.
Lawrence, you want to add any more to that?
Oh, well, I mean, when it comes to back to the us doing the project, and that's how we approached Disney on it, was basically, we want to do it. We want to do it on our own. We want to learn from this and experience it so we can move on forward with more. So one of the best things that, one of the biggest exciting thing for me was working with legendary Doc Kane, and having to, myself and Xavier, shadowing him. If you watch Disney movies from the 80s on up now, Doc Kane is the legend behind all the audio work behind everything on Disney. So it was starstruck for me as an engineer, because that's what I went to school for, to have that pleasure to work with him. And now we have a relationship, just like we all have relationships with our with all the stars and stuff like that. But it's like family. It's like one big family. And if I get caught in a rut, I can shoot him a text or give him a call, and let's touch this, do that, try it this way, stuff like that. So it's a good relationship to have. I'm blessed. I always say we're blessed because of the fact that we got to learn this part of it. I know a little bit about ADR until once we did this, and now I think you've seen the film. You tell us how we did,
As a matter of fact, talking about relationships, we formed a really good relationship with Mark, and that's kind of how we made this possible. He was texting me on the way down here, and he wanted to send. He told me I'll read his text message. And it's a short message, but he says, "Please send the people of Eagle Butte my love." And so, I mean, he remembers a lot of everybody. When he goes to these places, and we formed a real good relationship, and our relationship was formed during ceremony. And so Lawrence talks about a family, like a family, and that's how it's been. And he's been with us every step of the way. He's been making calls to Disney. He's been making calls to Deluxe. What can we do here? What can we do there? And he's the one who brought on the other cast. And there's a small part in the movie that they all play. We have Scarlett Johansson, we have Chris Hemsworth, we have Chris Evans, we have Jeremy Renner, we have Robert Downey Jr. and Mark. They're all in the movie. Mark actually plays his lines the full time. He says all his lines in Lakota. We sat in the studio and recorded those day after day after day after day, about 6 days, and then he got the other guys in, and it was cool because they all formed a genuine relationship with us. You know, and it was through the language, and it was they were all very, very respectful of that. And then when they would mess up on a word and like, I'm sorry, and we're like, no, I mean, it's cool. I mean, we'll help you through this. And one of the cool highlights of this whole thing is that Ray would make TikTok videos, and he would send them to the Avengers at night. And so they'll be usually the night before, and they'll be practicing these things, and they're coming in, and they'll be like, dang, you guys are farther along than we are right now. Like, because they're practicing these all night, you know?
Yeah.
And we talked with Scarlett, and Scarlett got in the studio, and she was all, you know, I was practicing my lines yesterday, and I ran into Steven Spielberg, and we're like, okay, you know, and she goes, I was telling him what I was doing. I was telling him I was practicing these lines for the Lakota dub. He goes, huh, I'm practicing. I'm trying to learn Lakota right now too. Mm-hmm. And so we have people in Hollywood that are, you know, interested too, but really this was for our people. This project's not about Lawrence. This project's not about Carson. It's not about Ray. It's not about Dallas, or it's not about Chuck. It's about our Lakota people and where we can go from here.
That's awesome. I guess one thing I'll mention, you know, like you said, watching the movie, I thought that Mark's lines in Lakota, they sounded just as fluid and well pronounced as pretty much any of the other cast. And so that, you know, shows to me he put a lot of work in for us. But our own people, almost the rest of the cast, you know, was all Lakota and Dakota people that put in a lot of work to learn the language and to get that pronunciation. You know, I'm guessing most people aren't speaking on a daily basis. And so, you know, that still shows a lot of dedication to me. You know, I've heard the language most of my life, and it sounded, you know, maybe not fluent, right? I'm sure a fluent speaker could find parts of their pronunciation that were off, but everybody sounded, they weren't stuttering. They weren't, you know, the audio quality was so good. I wanted to get on that a little bit. Lawrence, you introduced your son Xavier as one of the best, what is it, ADR guys?
Yeah,
ADR engineers.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about audio engineering, your history with that, and you know, how you guys got set up. I know you have some studios in 48, so we'd like to hear about, you know, how you brought all of this to our Lakota reservations.
Let's see here. It all started basically with my dad. Our dad, I should say, Chuck's. I've been in bands with him my whole life. I can remember some 10, 11, 12 years old being on the road with him, and somehow I ended up being the drummer of the band. So until I was 18. And then, but back then he started a production company, and I was able to help him throughout those times. And to this day, we still have the production company. Although the name has changed. It's Grey Productions. And it kind of, to me, it's like a family thing. You got all the generations of it, our nephews and all that stuff, all players and so on. But the production side of it, there's, you know, him and then me, and then now Xavier's being involved in it too. So it's good. It feels great because of the fact that I know what he felt working with me, and now I feel what what I feel working with not only my son, but my brother as well. So in Dallas and Ray, and, you know, all close relationships with them and so on. I call them my brothers, and it's just been great. But again, back in 2017 is when we started the Grey Willow Studios. And again, that was to help and try to help move forward with our young ones trying to learn music. And, you know, I grew up in music. I did music my whole life. I lived in Hollywood, California. I played this area a lot. I lived here for a while too. I used to work right across the street, actually, LTM.
So that's pretty cool. You know, we're actually the movie theater and the radio station. We're all tribally owned. We call it Cheyenne River Economic Development Corporation, LTM. So it's one big family of tribal businesses. We have a former employee in the house.
Right. That was here as well. Yeah. So I mean, so the biggest thing was how could we teach the kids? How could we, you know, that was my goal. I'm not doing anything right now. I'm kind of chilled out, and so we opened the studio, and then with the help of Chuck and Ray and Dallas, we kind of grew it into what it is now. And we've been called, you know, You never want to talk about yourself or talk about the things you're doing and so on. That's just how we are as Lakota people. But we've been quoted from Doc Kane as being, for our first one, we're just as good as any other studio out there in Hollywood and so on. So it's kind of been a proven fact too with Joel Wood's recording that we've done. Sing, Pray, Love. We got a Juno Award out of that. We're up for a 45th Sports Emmy with Sacred Dog. We did the music behind that as well. So it's been moving forward, and I can't help but appreciate and give back to all of our communities.
Well, yeah, I definitely think
Yeah.
the work and the amount of effort and expertise you guys put into it, it really does show. I don't know, you've probably heard that before. When you're out there as a Lakota person, you're not just representing yourself. You're representing your people, your nation, and I think maybe sometimes that pushes us to be a lot better than we would be if some people have the privilege of just representing themselves, and it's a little
Right.
bit different. To me, it feels a lot different in what we do and how we do it. So for a former LTM employee
Yeah.
to be out there doing the best work in the industry, man.
Yeah, what got me and what really surprised me was I was on the phone with Skywalker Sound, Lucasfilms. We were discussing the project and so on, and I was kind of like, "Wait, can you give me some credit on this? I kind of need some more promotion." And they go, "Well, what do you mean more promotion?" I says, "Well, I need to get the word out there about Gray Willow Studios." And he goes, "Every major studio in Hollywood knows who Gray Willow Studios is. This is why we're on the phone." So that was really really great to hear.
Yeah, I think Skywalker's right up there with anybody, right? I don't know who you were trying to get a hold of if you're already on the phone with Star Wars.
Yeah, that's kind of was. And it's been kind of it's been an amazing ride, enjoying it and so
Yeah.
on. And it's good to see again. One of the biggest accomplishments is working with family and working with our language and working with our elders, because I so enjoyed. I miss it so much being in that room, talking with the elders every day, every day, every day. What do we spend on it? It's like 200 hours
Spent 200 hours in the radio, or in the studio with them.
transcribing the scripts and stuff like that. So that was amazing to be a part of that alone.
Ray sat there and he sat there and he just listened and he typed away.
Mhm.
And then our elders sat there and they spoke the whole time, and it was cool because we were totally immersed in the language, and so they'll be talking to us. And Carson understands the language already. He grew up in the language nest, but we're all second language learners, and so we try to understand the best that we can. And when it came down to it, you shoo me off. When it came down to it, they were telling us commands in Lakota, and we were all sitting there and we were all understanding, and it was like, and we didn't realize that, and it was really good. And I do want to go back to the ADR a little bit. I do want to shout out our nephew Xavier, because this kid is amazing. I mean, he is amazing. He went out to Disney Studios, and now people out there want him in their studio, and we have him right there in Fort Yates. Or he lives in Aberdeen, but he comes to Fort Yates and he's the best one of the best in the game. And we have, if you can impress the best in the game, then you're doing dang good.
Yeah.
And so, and then I wanted to talk about Ray and Dallas, and their part in all this, because it was a vision of reclaiming and revitalizing our language, and it was a dream or a thought that came to mind, and we put it into play. It was literally a question Ray asked. He goes, "How could somebody dub? I wonder who would be the first person to dub the Lakota Avengers? Are the Avengers in Lakota?"
And that was in like 17 or 18 he posted it.
He posted that in 2018.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, we're sitting at Sundance, and he says that again, and we're all hot and sweaty and bothered, going looking for wood and doing all this and that. So we had a little break. We're sitting there laying in a truck, and I said, well, should I ask Mark? And I shot Mark the text, and Mark was like, I don't know, but I'll find out. But he said, in his words, that was, I'm not going to explicit, but he said it was cool, And so he he went and went out to work for us. And he was a week later, he texted me back. He goes, I'm still trying to find out because Marvel's a hard thing to do with that. And so I got that day. I said, no problem. I said, but Mark, when you find out, we want you to play the Hulk. And he kind of laughed. He goes, I'll do that, Kola. And so, and then about a month later, here we are getting a phone call from Disney execs, Ramona Sammartini. She's like the fourth leading person in Marvel. And we're on a Zoom call with her, and me and Ray are sitting there like, what are we doing? And they're talking about these other movies that are coming up in indigenous languages. And one of the people in the phone call the Zoom call was Manuel Wheeler, and he's the one who he remade Star Wars, and then he remade Nemo. And so he kind of told us, first things first, make sure you talk to your tribe. Make sure you talk to the people at the tribe and get that okayed. And that's exactly what we did. Ray went up to the THPO and showed him the script, make sure that we were following protocol. And then he also went to HEW committee and judicial committee and presented that to them. And everybody okayed it. And so we moved forward. It's a funny story because we're trying to get people. We're like, how are we going to get people to translate? And so we knew Unchi Grace, we knew Unchi Ruby, and we knew Uncle Mai. So we were and it's kind of a sad story, but we were at a funeral, and Unchi Grace and Unchi Ruby were there. Unchi Grace Jaskovic and Unchi Ruby Shoestring were there, and Ray texts and he goes, and Ray was there too. No, Ray was there, huh?
That was me.
And so we were sitting there like, hey, Unchi Grace and Unchi Ruby are right there. Let's ask them. And we're not going to ask him at a funeral, And then Lawrence, you ask him. And Lawrence is like, okay, I'll go ask them. And he went and asked them. And they were excited about it.
Yeah, they were basically. Is that me?
Yep, that's you.
They were basically. I said, "Well, I kind of would like to sit down and talk with you and so on," and kind of gave them the thought and idea in their head, and next thing you know, the next day they showed up at the studio and we sat down and explained the whole what we planned on doing and so on, and they've basically been there every day since.
Yep, they come in the studio and you know what, the cool thing is that they're very proud of this project too. They didn't know what part the Avengers are all going to be in, because there's a part in there, and we really didn't tell anybody when the Avengers, when Scarlett, Chris, Jeremy, Mark, and Robert Downey Jr. are going to be in there. We didn't tell anybody. And so after the first showing in McLaughlin, when Ruby comes up and she goes, hey, there's one part in there. I noticed they talk a little bit different, and she picked that up right then and there, that part. And so I guess it's no hidden thing now.
For me, you can hear that it was recorded on Zoom.
Yeah.
Your studio in 48 sounds a lot better than the recording off their Zoom.
Yeah. And so they're on there. And so when they assemble, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Is they all come together, and it's a short scene but it's cool because like everybody's kind of waiting to see when that part is. But our voice actors did a heck of a job. You have Colin Wilburn Soldier who's in the studio with his shirt off, and he has a rubber mallet, but he's acting out the show. You have Ray in there. He was punching the air, trying to get out of air so he can in the scene where he's punching Captain America's punching the bag. He's in there doing all that, and then you have Eric Jens came in. He just did it. Him and his wife. They came in and did an amazing job. They didn't come in together, but it sounds like they're sitting in the studio together doing that role playing that back and forth. And when they're in the movie, it meshes so well.
I got a picture of them at the premiere, and it's just really cool to see them, and their kids, and how much Lakota life must really mean to them. I know we do have Dallas was on earlier. I don't know if he's still on Facebook, and he's asking, where's Lance Eaglestaff? And Lance, if you're listening out there, if you want to come up to the studio and knock, we'll be here for a little bit. We could use you over here at the KIPI and 7th Gen premiere. We'll be heading back over there in a little bit. So if anybody wanted to meet these guys, we'll be back at 7th Generation here in a little bit. We think the movie should have about another hour and a little on it. So
Yeah, it should have
it's
a.
a 2 hour and 10-minute runtime or something like
Yeah,
that.
I gotta get my hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we need our hot dogs. I do want to give a shout out because there's a couple people listening. So John Taken Live and Jordan Knife are out there listening right now. They said, "Shout me out," so I'm shouting you out.
How about Carson? Carson, how did you like stuff on this? As far as how much fun did you have on this film?
I had a lot of fun.
That's good.
So just so everybody knows, this is Carson Yellowhammer. He plays the young boy interviewee at the end of the movie. But Carson, here's a little fun fact that we failed to mention, and we failed to say a lot of times. But Carson spent just about every one of those 200 hours in the studios with us, and he just sat there with the Unchis, and he grew up with them, and so he understands the language. He speaks the language. I don't know if he'd speak for us right now on command, but he speaks the language, and this is something that he was very passionate about. And so he's made every single one of these premieres too. He's watched the movie how many times now, Carson?
Couple.
Yeah. What was your experience in the movie or in the studios with having the Unchis there?
It was nice hearing him. Nice hearing him speak.
Oh, we have Lance Eaglestaff calling in right now.
Here, we'll put him on.
He says.
Yeah,
we're on the radio, Lance. All right, Lance Eaglestaff's coming over right now. Eagle Butte's finest.
So if you watch the dubs, basically, I mean, if you, it's not only the flow of things behind the controls and all that stuff and so on. Of course, you have that part of it, but without having our actors step up in a way they did and learn her process. I always say Sunshine was our guinea pig because I kept calling her back because we were trying to learn the flow of things and so on. But she nailed it very well. You've seen the movie, you've seen her voiceovers and so on. So you have to get into character. You have to play these parts. And man, every one of them was just so. I mean, I'm glad we recorded all this because it was great just to watch them, react and play these parts. It's just from the breathing part of it to everything on all this. So it was we found 43 voice actors across South Dakota, which is amazing.
And during our not our screening process, but our casting calls, we went all over, and we've had people. When we were in 48s and Standing Rock, we were at a powwow. We did a casting call at a powwow, and we had people coming in from. The one girl said she came from Nebraska. We had people coming in from Eagle Butte, Pine Ridge. We had people coming in from all over the place. We had people come from Siston, the Siston Wapton Oyate. So I mean, and that was cool because they all, even though they didn't get a part, they wanted to be a part of it, and they're all a part of it. And this was created because we had such a good connection with everybody. We went down to Thunder Valley, and we had I can't remember the name of the merchant school down there, but they brought their kids in, and they did amazing. They all spoke fluently. They sat there and they talked the whole time, and then they sang songs for us, and so it was they honored us, and that was amazing.
That was cool.
We got to record all that, and so that being said, we got all this behind the scenes footage, and they're making right now. We're making I don't know if we call it a documentary or what do you call it, Lawrence?
Right now it's just a sizzler, but
a sizzler.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna all be a part of that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Just did.
So what's the difference between I remember the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes?
It's basically a sizzler is basically a few minutes behind the footage. It kind of flips through it real quick and so on. And we've gotten, like I said, we've recorded from almost day one, video recorded the translations of everything. So
like as real time as the elders
Yep.
were coming up with the translations.
Yeah,
That's one I
so-
wanted to ask about
Yep.
was, so like I said, Hulk smash is probably my favorite scene. And that was Supernatural, our normal daily DJ here. He said, I really want to hear how they say Hulk smash. And I think it was Hunkashni.
Yeah.
You're not my brother. Like, how does that work?
Oh gosh, that's what he said too, and that's what everybody was like. They're coming up there. All right, we went to the showing that we just had at United Tribes. They're like, well, what does Hulk say? When does he talk? Does he talk as Hulk? I said, yeah. He says one little verse in there, and then I said, it's coming up, so you gotta wait. And they're all sitting there waiting, and everybody gets a good laugh after that because he's all, oh gosh, man. And you can hardly understand it, but it comes out as Hulk, and so it's pretty cool.
So what's the thought process there, going from puny God, right? So we don't have a singular God, like that's the same thing like when Chris Evans says, the only God I know, he don't dress like that.
Yeah. I think the translation went a little man or something, or a tiny man.
Tiny man.
Yeah. Because again, even with the translations, we don't have words like sir. We don't have that. So if you
So
notice,
like she's calls, Hill calls,
because they're
that-
together a lot,
Yeah.
and you know how we are as Lakota people is
That's
that
her, like she.
we take people on. So that was her role in it. And then when it comes to Jarvis, he's calling Stark Ate.
Ate, yeah, because he made him, right?
He created
Yeah.
him. So that was kind of the concept behind that, as far as because we don't have sir, so we kind of change those up a little bit.
And then
That's what we
director
use.
is Itanchan.
Yeah, we kind of put kinship roles in them, and so that was another connection there that we made that a lot of people they'll catch it when you're watching it, but it's not in the real movie. So we made it more connecting to the Lakota language, to the Lakota people, and so that I thought that was real cool too. So
And the same thing with Loki. I mean,
Yep.
Iktomi, right?
Yeah, we changed him just because of the fact we got to change one of them. Although in the dubbing world, you don't change names or anything like that, but we did.
I know the Chinese do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the point that took it out. Like when you hear Downey Jr. say Banner, you can hear, it's basically English. He can't have a Lakota accent and say Banner.
Right.
But I said that, the whole story is an Iktomi story. One of my favorite scenes is
Lance is at the door.
Natasha.
Lance Eaglestaff's here, walking in the door right now. So, no, Natasha Sunshine did an amazing job, but he said he just left with Natasha, so she did an amazing job. She kind of went and put herself out there and really did an awesome job at acting, threw herself into a different role that she's not used to. And so when she's in there, she's getting a lot of the time she's kind of getting chazeka at us, talking to us, and she's as little brothers and big brothers, she can do that. But we're trying to tell her, lighten up your voice, act like you're talking to your man, your hubby, and she would laugh us off, but it was fun, and we had a great time in the studio. And like Lawrence said, we had her in there 4 or 5, 6 times, extra times, and she'd be leaving. She would get off at work at 4:30, and then she would stay till midnight, and then she would do the same thing the night over. We can go ahead and welcome Lance Eaglestaff in the house on Keepy Radio.
Keepy. Hello.
Hi, Lance. So you were a voice actor on the Avengers Lakota dubs. Can you tell us who you played?
I think I played a few parts.
I actually got the script here. I could tell you who you play.
Yeah, he told me he's the guy that fires the nuke.
I was the guy.
Or no, he's the one that got shot down.
I was in.
Yeah.
And then he plays his Galaga player.
I don't remember offhand. Quite a few parts.
Lance Eaglestaff. Here we go. Lance Eaglestaff is the Weasley Thug,
Oh yeah. I played that.
the man, male voiceover number 3, Galaga player, pilot number 4, male voiceover number 8, the police officer, 7th Alpha 11 pilot, and male interviewee 2.
So right before Stan Lee, he's like,
Right.
"That's me."
Yeah, that's
and
it.
I'm like, "Wait, who played Stan Lee?" He's like, "I don't know." So now I know that it was Lawrence. He's got job security as Stan Lee. Every one of the
he's in
movies.
movie, yeah. I'm expendable, they said so.
Yeah, you're the character that gets beat up, huh?
Yeah.
You're gonna be the stuntman when they finally do the Lakota adaptation. I said that was one thing I was really excited about. I know Ray had talked about, like using it in the schools and like a theater adaptation of it would be really cool. And that's why I was really happy that you guys renamed Loki to Iktomi, is because it is basically an Iktomi story, and you could do a little bit more. Like I said, Cap's shield. It doesn't have to be an American flag. It could be could be Four Directions, Medicine Wheel. When we put this in the high schools, I think it's going to be pretty cool to see how how our kids pick this up and run with it. Like you said, Avengers is everybody's. So like it's the big pop cultural thing of the last 20 years.
For sure.
So that'll be really cool to see.
Ray's already been using this kind of made a little curriculum out of it, and so he's already been using a lot of these scenes and stuff in his classroom, and so I found that really cool. I mean, like he prepared some of his students. Some of the students actually came up from McLaughlin and played roles in the movie, and so I thought that was pretty cool on how he prepared them and through the scenes of what we were doing, and so. There's already curriculum there for that, to tell the stories and stuff. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the cool thing about it too is that, June 14th, I believe has something to do with the first launch of this Avengers. So it was kind of one of those deals that why it's being out on the 14th. So. That has some
the
history.
same date that the original Avengers came
Something
out.
like that, yeah. So that
was
has some history.
2012, so that's
Yeah.
12 years ago. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so.
Do you have anything else, Lance, that you want to tell people from home? Why do you think it's important that they made a movie in Lakota?
I think it's important for the next generation, our kids, our grandkids, that they have material to go off and access freely. I think a lot of the language is like they said before, is learned at home. But I think to reiterate at school, it's a huge part for school teachers, for any youth wanting to learn the language. Maybe they don't have a resource to go to. They don't have an elder. They don't have a uncle or a Lexi, or and now they got the Avengers. So I think it's pretty historical for. Gray Willows and Chuck and Ray in Dallas and everyone to be on that playing stage as far as cinema, a Marvel movie. I think that's huge, and to be a part of it, I truly blessed. It was kind of a last minute deal. Ray said, "We're gonna come do some lines." I was like, "Next weekend if you're available," and they're like, "Yeah, we'll be there."
you don't even know how many times we mentioned Lance though. He's like, "When are you coming up, bro?" All right, yeah, I'll be up. And he's never came up, and then I didn't even know the day he came up. I didn't know he was in the studio, and so he came up and he knocked out, like you said, donut lines.
Everyone's like, "What part were you?" I'm like, that part right there. How's that guy? Oh wait, how's that guy over there?
It's like 6 parts, right? That's pretty cool. I know, like in the trailer, and I heard the trailer wasn't supposed to be dry all this, but there's the Crazy Horse song is in there, and I was gonna ask who was singing the Crazy Horse song. Were you guys?
That would be
Me.
Yeah.
You're the lead on it.
No, that's the Showtime Singers.
Showtime Singers. That's one of the songs we laid down for a documentary called on ESPN on Sacred Dog, and like I said, we did the soundtrack on that for that, and they. Showtime Singers allowed us to basically put that on, and I thought it was fitting because of the song itself, with Lala and on it, his song. So I thought it was pretty fitting for that to.
And it's in the
be
movie
on
for a
there.
little bit too, right?
Not
Like 2 or 3 seconds.
just in that area, just in that trailer area.
Yeah.
So Lawrence created that first scene that you've seen in McLaughlin, and that scene is not on the original disc. Am I right, Lawrence?
Right.
And so that's not on the original disc. And so when we play it from Lawrence's production, he's able to play that, and it goes in, and it's fitting. It's really cool.
That was the word for the what's the box that the space stone's in again? The Tesseract.
Tesseract, yeah.
Yeah.
Woganake.
Wognake. And
Yeah.
and he talked a little bit about, coming up with that word and it being the first scene of the movie, the first word, right? Wognake.
Yeah. Well, that was another a word that was taken from Unchi Grace and Unchi Ruby and Uncle Mai. They sat there and I have a picture of them, and Unchi Grace is sitting there and she's really thinking, how are we going to say this? And her and Ubi would go back and forth. It was kind of cool because they would come up with it and they that's what they came up with, an energy, a force of energy. And so that was pretty cool. I was like, holy cow, they just made up a word right in front of us.
And way more creative than me. I would have just called it Lightbox.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
that was the thing too. So we had to explain it to them and then read the dialogue of exactly what a tesseract was. So basically, it was a box with power rocks in it, basically. So again, like Chuck said, they're like, So I think it brought out some old stories from Winchi Ruby, and that's when that they came up with that.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun time doing all that stuff.
So on all the reservations, you guys are playing that part?
Well, when Lawrence's production goes. So when Lawrence's production, because Lawrence is able to do certain things on his end than just the disc. And so that's kind of like when we got the trailer, it was sent to us, and we were like, holy cow. The first trailer that was sent to us, I'll be honest with you guys, we were disappointed. We're like, man, like really, you have your regular trailer, which is, if you watch the regular trailer on YouTube of the Marvel's Avengers, it's real cool. It's like a lot of action, everything that. Then they sent us the trailer of ours, and it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, I can't remember the guy's name. Sim, and I was like, so I messaged him back. I was like, this isn't good enough. We're Lakota. We want to be excited, And so I sent it back, and he sent it back, and he's like, he put a little more oomph into it, but it was the same. It's basically the same thing. I was like, no. I said, this is what we want. And so we could have done that in the studio. We could have just played a little bit of a scene, And so we basically told him, we want the Akishas in there. And he only got one of the Akishas in there, but it was the coolest part when Thor grabs his hammer and he puts it up and that lightning's hitting him. And, it was.
And did you already have that in the movie when you were doing the trailer?
Yeah.
Or did you have to go back and put it later?
No, we had it. We had it in the movie. And so there's 3 Akishas in the movie. There's one when Cap goes and he's rolling and he throws that little knife and he's, and he throws it and it's going crazy. And then one when Hawkeye's busting through a window, and then that part right there. But watching the movie, and one of the parts that that's exciting because everybody gets into it, like you hear that and it gets you kind of riled up. And so I was watching, I was like, man, next to the movie, we got to throw all kinds of Akishas in there, and just get people riled up the whole time. Because I remember when CJ over here was at the movie, when he heard that he Akisha too in McLaughlin. So I was like, man, that was dope.
There were a couple. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So that was one of the Easter eggs.
So keep your eyes out for it, guys. And I'm sorry we spoiled it for you, but you should keep your eyes out.
No, they're in the movie theater right now.
Yeah,
So
the ones that are really caring about it in Eagle Butte, you're in the movie theater. But those of you listening that want to watch it on the 14th, or you're gonna drive down to Lakota Tech tomorrow, or is it Lakota Tech's on Thursday?
on Friday.
Friday?
Thursday or Friday?
We're all over.
They're going to be on Pine Ridge Thursday and Friday. So if you missed it here and you really want to drive down there to watch it, that's an option. So
Yeah. So maybe it is that night before.
Oglala is Thursday, I think, and Lakota Tech is Friday.
That's how.
He knows our schedule better than we
Yeah,
do.
It just helps plan.
We don't even know where we're at right now.
These guys got to go drive down there.
I think we're in Bridger.
Oh, that was actually the original plan, was to put the tower in Bridger so we could reach Rapid better.
Oh, nice.
But now we're in Eagle Butte.
Ah,
Yeah, they said cheaper to put it where the power line is.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But
kind of off
we
grid.
got to
over
get
there.
back over there to get our hot
Yep.
dogs. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to come over, if you got any questions, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of time, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, guys, come over, ask questions. We'll be at Seventh Generation. There's just a few seats left, standing room. You know, might have to park your car half a mile away, but I know you guys can make it. So
Even if you're coming in there for a couple seconds and hear the movie, you guys won't be disappointed. It's something.
yeah, just the end right now. I'm sure the nuclear plane is just about to take off. So.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we'll see you guys over at 7th Generation Cinema live from Eagle Butte KIPI Studios. CJ signing out.